You're listening to Relatable with Stephanie Michele, only on LA Talk Radio.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another edition of Relatable. I'm your host, Stephanie Michele, and as you can see, I'm on the other side of the table sitting near my guest. It's amazing.
So fun.
I know. The first one I got to do like this, and by the way, you inspired me to do this, and you guys are going to learn more about her in a sec. Okay. I was like, look, I can touch my guest. It was so amazing.
Do a little, what do they call it in Japanese?
I don't know.
Feng shui.
Oh, yes.
Kind of.
Yes.
Sort of, maybe.
I think it's better feng shui to be able to touch. So before we get into who you are and what we're going to talk about on the show, I wanted to share what I'm reflecting on this morning. And this is my 20th show. So next show, my show will be legally of the legal drinking age. And as I reflect on it, becoming an adult, I'm reminded of the motivation that I had for starting the show, which was really just about showing what good conversation looks like, how it can be inspirational, modeling the conversation, and hopefully putting out some things that are inspirational for people to reflect on, and then also just give tips to have better conversations. That was my main motivation.
I like that.
You like it?
Yes.
Yeah, it's like such a simple thing, and something that we really need. And each episode for me has definitely been a gift. The conversations have been inspirational. The people have been inspirational, and what you guys share, like the feedback that I get about, hey, this was the takeaway from the show, that's been amazing too. So I'm going to ask for some more feedback today. So help this girl out. This is what I'm struggling with right now, and I need your help. I'm thinking about, as I think about how I'm going to grow the show and my own performance, my thoughts get a little stuck.
Okay.
On one hand, I want to be your vulnerability superhero. So I want to keep things real. I want to be a little unpolished with my thoughts. I mean, I can't really help that. They're just my unpolished thoughts. But I have this willingness to just love and accept, inspiration and growth as it comes.
Okay.
So it's like, in short, the theme of that is #imperfection. I dig it.
I dig it too.
Right? I like it, This is also a Forties thing that we're going to talk about just owning who you are. But then on the other hand, I want to do better. I want to improve the quality of the show. I want to focus on more provocative topics and look better and sound better and get into my newscaster voice and project and do all of those things you're supposed to do. But the reason that I get stuck is I believe that we have too much edited reality and compartmentalized reality out there. And I don't want my Instagram to be turned into my highlight reveal.
Photoshopped magazine?
Yeah,
right.
I don't want to retouch all everything on my skin. And, I don't want that. I want to accept who I am and not some edited version. And I want you guys to get to know me as who I am. So I'm stuck. And in this desire to keep it real. I'm like, is real interesting enough?
That's a
right?
damn
we
good question.
Talk just about that. So I'm putting that out there to you. We're going to talk about it as well. And to my left, Katerina Cozias.
Yes, Cozias.
That's
okay.
Yeah. See, I have to hear it 3 times.
I did that to a guest of mine last week.
Yeah, and they corrected you right away.
Yes.
Yeah,
so
it happens.
No worries.
It happens. And so she, one of the reasons I wanted her on the show, there's actually a couple reasons why we're sitting next to each other. She has an amazing and extensive international background in hosting and emceeing and all these things. So she definitely can have, I bet, has some input on what I just shared. And then also, and this is not something that you see often that happens in LA, but right here, 2 women admitting that we're in our 40s.
Woo!
Right?
That's right.
That's amazing. Like, we're
and now
them.
We don't even have tequila in these coffee cups.
We could, though. People that know me know that I do like good tequila. They probably think that. But yeah, so you're new to the camp.
Yes, yeah, newly 40, so I'm newly navigating what it means to get into this back 40. But I have to tell you, Stephanie, I feel flippin' great.
Yeah.
Really great. And, when you're in your 30s, you sort of, in your 20s especially, right, you think it's this cliff, it's going to solidify that I'm old, that I'm heading into middle age. And And so I had a trepidation towards kind of getting into my later 30s. What is getting into my 40s going to mean? And I have to be really honest with you. Like, I am on fire right now.
I agree.
Yeah.
I love the 40s. I mean, it's the best decade so far, but it's like you know who you are and you own it, and there's no more excuses, and it's like, this is what you get.
This is what you get. No apologies. Deal with it.
I love that. So I have 4 years ahead of you in the 40 camp. And what I thought we would do today, because, when two hosts get together, there's a lot of back and forth. Like, we probably want to cross-question
I was going to say, I wanted to question you twice already, but I'm like, hold on.
You're going to get to.
It's her show.
So I'm taking a little inspiration from this show on NPR called Been There, which is basically, two people asking each other questions about things that they're going through now, but one has had more experience about it.
Sure.
So your more experience is the emceeing and the personality, and I'm going to ask you questions about that.
Absolutely.
My more experience is the 40 camp, just by 4 years, but there's great stuff in those 4 years. So you can ask
good.
away.
So I was going to say, so I can look forward to the coming 4 years. Right?
You can totally ask away. So we're going to do that, and getting started and going in that direction, I want to give you a little bit of bio of Katerina so you know a little bit more about her, and then we'll get right into it. So Katerina is an international on-camera host, MC, and brand ambassador.
Yes.
Do you resemble all that?
Don't I look like one?
Yes.
Don't I seem like one?
Yes. She started her broadcast career in Athens, Greece. I think you speak 3 languages.
I do speak 3 languages, Greek, French, and English.
Nice.
And I started taking Spanish lessons, but I've let them kind of go, but I should probably pick that up again. So I'd love to say I speak 4, but no,
you will
3.
at some point, because you're in your 40s. You do that. You
great.
Push the envelope. You learn
Spanish and the guitar. Those are the 2 things I want to focus on.
So mine would be, I want to learn Portuguese and cello.
Oh, why Portuguese?
I think it's beautiful.
Okay.
It's just kind of this
And the
combination
cello,
of French,
okay.
French and Spanish. And the cello to me is it's the sexiest, most beautiful sound in the world.
I was going to say we can travel together and start a band.
Yeah, I like it. I like it. All right, so let me read more about your bio. We're already doing this. We're stopping. We're not even sticking to the format. But so your hosting background is complemented by your years in business communication, live event experience in both oil and gas and finance sectors, as well as lifestyle and entertainment. Yeah, get that right. And then in these roles, you've collaborated with media and agency partners to bring news and information to the world. She has forged strong relationships with numerous media outlets, including the Robb Report, Forbes, and the Wall Street Journal. You can watch Katerina here every Thursday at 11 a.m. So this time on Thursday at LA Talk Radio on her show, LA 40, which is focused on life after 40, as you can tell. So that's you.
Yes.
And before we get into the topic, so there's one thing that I ask all my guests.
Okay.
And that is just, is there anything that's top of your mind that's kind of pulling you as a distraction that you just want to put out there and clear out before we get into more of a topical conversation?
Gotcha, absolutely. So, the biggest thing for me right now is I'm trying to put aside, I said that I'm feeling great and I'm 40 and I'm all in, but there's also a little element of fear of, I've lived 40 years, I've made some good decisions, I've made some bad decisions, and how much have I learned from that in order to make more good rather than bad decisions in this next coming decade? And, walking into something where, it's a little bit new, it's a little bit different. I moved to LA about a year ago, so I'm just now finally getting my feet around what this city's all about. And I want to just make sure that I'm playing it right. Now, on the flip side of that, I don't think you can make a mistake in life. It's just your path. But, I think there's always an element of, geez, I want to make sure I don't get it wrong, that I'm trying to let go and just go with the flow. I don't know if you can.
This is the other reason why my girl is here, because I struggle with this like perfection versus imperfection. It's like just accept and go. One of my favorite phrases is love more, fear less. Like when you have a choice, bless you.
Excuse me.
When you have a choice, just lean into that love. Like what's the most loving thing that you can do for yourself in the moment instead of, will this fear, fear is fine. Fear sometimes motivates you to learn, grow, try new things.
Right, yeah.
Fear is only bad when it's like preventing you.
Yeah, when it paralyzes you, right.
Yeah. So what is it, fight, fleet, or freeze?
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. So I get it. I hear you.
Yeah.
I mean, from what I know about you and passing here, I suspect you'll find a way to use fear to your advantage.
Right. Yeah.
That's a 40 thing.
I was going to
It's a tool.
say it's a. How many hours do we have, Stephanie?
Right. We're going to come up with a whole new show.
So yeah. So if anyone listening has any advice on how to sort of take that little fear, but leverage it to a place where it becomes a motivator.
Yeah.
That's really sort of the wave that I'm on right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say, because this is definitely a topic of mine, I have really learned to listen to my body or like feel where things are landing. So stress, if I'm here, if I'm up like this is something that's stressing me out, or worry, I might get a stomach ache, whatever. Really, in analyzing what a certain topic or an action is triggering in you, like what is it? Sadness? Is it stress? What is it triggering? Identifying that before you move forward.
And I think that's so poignant because the point of emotion is to do just that, right? It's sort of our guidance system, GPS. So if you're starting to feel those feelings, what I'm coming to recognize is you start to feel the fear or the anxiety or the stress. It really is just sort of a red flag to say, hey, identify what's going on and course correct.
Absolutely.
So yeah.
Absolutely. And what came up for me when you were saying that too is it's often the problems that we have in relating to each other is that we didn't catch that stuff and we're trying to course correct too late. So you might be in a conversation and something didn't land really well, like, this is not really feeling really well, or I need to ask another question. I'm not sure what you meant, or I'm not sure you understand what I meant. And you don't stop to do that. And then later, the person's thinking something else that transpired in that conversation, and then you're trying to course correct, and they're like, "What are you doing? That's so weird." Like
so late.
Yeah,
but,
it's too late.
And now we've gone down a different path, and now I hate you.
Yeah,
right.
Or I'm just totally confused by you, and you're too high maintenance, and I'm not investing anymore.
Right.
That happens too.
Okay.
That happens too. Even
in all relationships.
I could go in so many directions with this, but especially when it feels like. People are less willing to invest right now. We're like we're fast food relating, we're fast food dating, we're like everything.
Fast food Ubering, all of it is just instantaneous. And I really, to your point, Stephanie, I really worry about our generation, Gen Xers and baby boomers. We sort of understand that there is value in patience and in, putting in an effort. But I really worry about these kids that are 15 years old that literally have been raised with a phone in their hand. Yeah. How are they going to have the patience to deal with a relationship, to wait, and to wait for that job increase, it's just, I think it's going to have societal repercussions.
I know it is. I mean, we need, the idea of a society without empathy or the ability to relate with each other does not look good to me. And the idea of always having a device in between communication and not understanding anticipation and all the subtleties of feeling
an
connected.
emoji won't do that for you. You need more than that. Sometimes you need intonation and voice. You need the other person to feel that you're listening. And I think a lot gets lost in translation with texting.
It absolutely does. And it already is affecting young people in their relationships, because there's a lot of studies out there right now that the marriage is on a decline, but just even the idea of any kind of long-term relationship is not interesting to them at all. And yet, what I say here a lot is we are hardwired for connection. We are intended to connect with people and feel deep emotion and, be on a journey and have shared experiences. And when you deny that, all kinds of anxiety happens from it.
Interesting. Yeah, that's actually really interesting, because the thing is, you and I are together, and I get a little bit upset or bored or whatnot, then, I just swipe left and swipe left. But if I continue to swipe left, I'm never making that deep connection. And you're right, as a human being, what are you missing? Yeah, right?
A lot.
That's not,
And we're so off topic, but I love it because it's my favorite topic. It's perfect. The having a less than favorable experience with someone is actually what gets you over the hill of trust and sincerity. Once you go through something challenging, you actually know who your friends are. You know what they're about. But what I'm concerned about is people are stopping once a little bit of challenge comes into play, and they're not getting to that point where they feel deep connected and it comes easier to them. And so that's definitely why I do the show. I mean, this is definitely the motivation of just going, look, we've got to slow down, we've got to connect. And sometimes conversation and connection feels weird, or
allow
can be
ourselves
awkward.
to be relatable.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, exactly. Yeah, Look,
There
she's
you
pro
go,
host.
I'm
Look
on
at
it.
way to turn it around. Way to segue.
Bring it back,
Yeah,
bring it
bring it
back.
back. Bring it back. So let's talk about you.
Oh, goodness.
And your experience. So, like I
Sure.
said in the intro, you've been, really an international host. You've been
Right.
all over emceeing.
I have, yeah, I have. For the last almost, especially the last 8 years, I really have gone international, and I've presented at some of the greatest events in the world, luxury conferences, yachting conferences in places like Monaco and Dubai and Hong
Nice.
Kong, and it's been a lot of fun. So absolutely, I think the one lesson that I've taken away from that is that everyone at the end of the day is looking for some sort of entertainment, but also education. So what
Yeah.
I like to do whenever I get up on a stage or whenever I have a microphone in my hand or whenever I sit with a guest is you want to enlighten, engage, and entertain.
Yeah.
And I think if you can couple those 3 E's, then you're filling all the gaps. Because if you're only doing one and not the other 2, or only doing 2 out of the 3, there's going to be something missing for the viewer, or for and so you want to engage them, enlighten them, and entertain them, and that makes it more fun for you too.
I like it. I like the 3 E's.
Yeah.
So you heard about what I'm struggling with right now, this like how to become the perfect host, or what the next steps are. What if you're not feeling engaged or enlightened? Like, what do you do to like get into that moment? Because you might have had like something bad happen on a way to one of these events. What do you do?
What do you do? So what I like to do is I always spend at least a couple of minutes before I walk into any room and just still myself. For as hokey as that sounds, when I was East Coasting for a long time, it's much more well received on the West Coast, but this whole notion of meditating and quieting your mind and just centering yourself. But I really find that it helps immensely. Whatever's going on in your life, you may have a cold, you may have gotten into a fight, but you've got to leave that at the door. In order to do that, though, you really have to take a moment and literally take 3 deep breaths. Take a moment, pause. Really take a moment, pause, and almost set your intention for what you want that next hour to be about. Like I intend for this audience to really enjoy being here. I intend for my message to resonate the way I want it to resonate. I intend for this to be, a really fantastic time for everyone in the room.
Yeah.
And you get clear on that intention for yourself, and you can't help but translate that.
Yeah.
And it really helps.
I like that. And what comes up for me when you share that, I feel that way about just connection in general. So anytime that I set an appointment to meet someone or first date, like I want to be available for connection. Like I want to really be available to have like a meaningful conversation and to be curious about this person. So it's a similar process. It does involve like, taking out some distractions, taking a couple deep breaths. And being more intentional. I like this idea of intentional conversation, stating the kind of experience that you want to have with somebody or what your intention is for, the interview. I think that produces
for them as well.
better results.
And I think also, very important is don't underestimate the value of preparation. Absolutely do your research on who your guest is, what the function is about, what the, end goal for the event conference organizer is. Because the last thing you want to do is get up on stage or get in front of a microphone and not know where you're stepping. You do a disservice to yourself, and you really do a disservice to your client.
100%. What I was thinking of when you told me that, I had a friend that's a professional chef that allowed himself to be booked on a radio show, and they were asking him a bunch of questions about cheeseburgers and margaritas, and it was a Jimmy Buffett radio show, and he said like derogatory things about Jimmy Buffett in these questions. I'm like, really? Just a little bit of prep would have saved your butt on that. Can you imagine?
Ouch.
Can you imagine?
Whoops.
Yeah. So don't do that.
That's so funny.
Preparation is, I agree.
Yeah.
Preparation is key. I have, as I'm sure you do, even preparing for our shows here, like I have a set thing that I do to come in and clear out the distractions. I Uber here, so I'm not like worried about traffic, and I can
and you can mentally prepare, right? How
Yeah.
you want it to go, what you want to say.
Yeah.
It's fun
no phone
though.
calls.
Yeah.
And the only phone calls I'll take are the ones that that the person on the other end is likely to tell me that they love me or they like something really positive.
Right. Yeah.
I'm like, I'm not taking any calls about,
That's something
drama.
we're on the same page on that. Like if anyone calls me 30 minutes before I'm supposed to start something, and I see, it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
I can't let that distraction even enter my brain right now.
Yeah.
It's like, sorry, I'll be free at 4. Like I can't.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
And usually I don't even text them that much. I just ignore it.
All right. Well, so I like your prep. I like the 3 E's. What motivates you to continue to do this work? Why do you
Oh
like
my
this
goodness.
work?
Okay, so for me personally, I mean, I really tuned in early on to the fact that I'm a communicator. I really enjoy it, but I also really enjoy helping other people share their stories. So I love to sit down and have these kinds of conversations because you know what, each and every one of us, you know, has, whether you think so or not, you really do have something interesting and unique, even if it's just your perspective on things. You know, if you look at how diverse people are, simply for really simple things like the order that they were born in. You know, your experience in life is going to change if you're a firstborn of 5 kids or whether you're a single child. You know, where you grew up. Did you grow up with 2 parents or 1 parent? Did you grow up speaking 2 languages or 1? What's your religion? I mean, you add all these things in, and we're so different at the end of the day that it's crazy to be able to peel those layers off and find out what really makes someone tick. So that's what I enjoy.
Yeah, I love that as well. I also believe the timing of people like actually being available for this, for conversation, that there's this idea of like just grace inspired communication that like you might not think that your story is that interesting, but it's the exact story that somebody else needed to hear in the moment that really inspires them or challenges them to think differently about something that they're working on. So it's like there's timing.
I'm a huge believer in that. I didn't used to be. I am becoming such a believer in the timing around the way, the synergies, the serendipities, the coincidences, the miracles, whatever you want to call it. I'm becoming a believer in the fact that things don't just happen by accident.
It's a big part of my brand. I talk about grace as like reclaiming it as a non-religious thing, that there's always inspiration around us and we just have to slow down, and people will surprise you. People, if you're curious with them, they will surprise you and they will inspire you. But that does not happen if you're quickly disconnecting and swiping and texting. It requires you to slow down, be present, and be available and be curious.
And one of the things that I've really tried to hone into and that I've learned over the course of the time that I've been doing this is you want to be, and this is advice for anyone in any interaction. Not, you don't have to be a TV host or a radio host. Be interested rather than interesting.
100% agree.
You know, you be interested in them, and that will come back to you rather than I'm this and I'm this and I'm this and I'm this. The person's tuned out. They're worried about what their grocery list, you know?
Yeah. It's like the additive to that is like you're at a networking function, like the kindest thing that you can do for someone is like say their name 3 times. We all like the sound of our own names, and it will help you remember their name. So there's like, mutually beneficial things for both parties involved. But asking them, being curious with them, they'll remember you as somebody like, hey, I liked how I felt around this person because this person allowed me to
100%.
talk. They were interested. And there's we have a deficiency of that. Like I've interviewed on the show an organization called Sidewalk Talk that they're going out in public places and setting up 2 chairs very intentionally, across from each other, where someone is invited to sit down and the other person's just listening, just there to listen to their story. I mean,
I love that.
The idea that people are willing to do this and sit down, like it shows that like we're not really being heard. Like we're, there's more single people, living single households. There's people that are, moved away from their families, not in contact with their families, so that this idea of just being heard is such a gift, And
it's so important because you're right. I mean, we all walk around with these devices in our hands. You may have seen it. It was scrolling on Instagram a couple of months ago, but it was this photograph, and it was a chalkboard sign outside of a cafe, and it said, "No, we don't have Wi-Fi. You're going to have to pretend it's 1995." And it's like, you're going to have to talk to the person next to you.
I love it.
Yeah.
I don't call my phone the phone anymore. I call it an OAD, which stands for outcome addiction device, because that's really what it is. Like you're just like, look, did someone like my Instagram? Did they tweet me back? Did they even text me? Like, did they text me back? It's not even about the other person. It's about the outcome that you start to like
fixate on, right?
I know. Yeah. So that's that. It's the OAD in my pocket. It's not the phone.
I like that.
Well, so you definitely understand how to like bring out a story in somebody, and I bet you that comes across really well. Like people, they probably remember being interviewed by you.
I hope so, right? That's the goal.
Yeah. Do you remember the other side of that, like an uncomfortable moment or anything that you learned early on in your career?
One of the things that I did learn early on, and it goes back to what we were just talking about, I think, especially for somebody that's new, they don't have the self-confidence built up yet, and so you really, you want to overachieve. And so at the beginning, it was all about me. You know, how do I look? What am I wearing? Am I looking okay?
Yeah.
And you know, let me put my lipstick on before I get out there. But it's not about you, right? It's about the other person. You're there to be the facilitator of their story, of their experience. You know, I had the opportunity to be on a red carpet, and I was interviewing Winona Ryder. The interview's not about me; it's about her.
Yeah.
So who cares if I have a lipstick on or not,
Yeah.
right? And that's where you have to check yourself. There are obviously some great hosts that have become big names, you know, your Barbara Walters and your Oprah Winfrey's and your Katie Courics. But if you think about it, they became stars because of the way that they did their job, right? They were so interested and interesting that they became interesting afterwards. So it's just something that I think I learned is just to take a step back and make sure that you're channeling the experience for the viewer and for the person on the other side of the mic.
Yeah. What's coming up for me when you're sharing this is like, so I'm thinking about all of the fabulous women that you just mentioned, and I know, and I like all of them, and I admire all of them, and I know in interviews about their past experiences or their humble beginnings, like they all talk about like, ooh, that look wasn't good, girl. Like, I'll never do that. So they probably, I don't know if someone told them this, but they were less concerned about this, you know, and more like, hey, I need to create an experience for the person being interviewed, and like in order to really advance in my career this way. And so maybe, you know, that's why there are some moments where you look back.
Well, and you look at, you know, some of the hosts who tried to do talk shows that haven't worked. Like you look at a Bethany Frankel, or you look at even Kris Kardashian. I mean, their shows were about them. It's all about me. It's all about me. It's all about me. Well, you know, the fourth time watching Bethany Frankel's talk show, you know, I wanted to, like,
you don't want to learn more about this skinny girl brand?
You know, it's just like next. So I think that's where they went wrong versus the people we mentioned earlier that really hit it out of the park.
Yeah, they care.
Yeah,
They were curious. I think you have to have like a natural.
I think you need to be curious, and I also think you need to be, if you're going to be in the spotlight like you are, right, you need to be able to be vulnerable and be a little relatable, right? Back to that. Again, what made Oprah so amazing is the fact that she was forthright with her weight issues and her rape and her this and her that. And it wasn't all about me. All of that came out in the course of 20 years.
Yeah.
Right? We got to know her and we got to relate to her.
Yeah.
That's different than having it be me, 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 me.
Yeah. Yeah, I can relate to this.
There you go.
What have you learned about people via interviews that surprises you, that just like maybe surprise, delights, like what are some of them?
You know, to think of something that surprises and delights me, that's a little bit tougher. The one through line though that I've come to recognize, speaking of talking about yourself, is at the end of the day, everyone likes talking about themselves. They just do. So if you're ever in a situation, and this even can go back to like dating someone new, right? Open up the floor and have them talk about themselves.
Yeah.
People just like that.
Yeah.
And as you mentioned, right, it sort of warms them up. And if you allow them to talk about themselves, they're going to remember you as the person that made them feel good.
Yeah.
So that's a through line for sure.
I think the same way that we prep for a show like this, with having some questions on hand, I think that we should prep for an interaction with somebody. So if it is a first date, or you're going to a networking function, just like have a couple questions that you're planning to ask, and let none of them be, what do you do?
Right.
That is the most boring question you can ask somebody. And if they have a boring answer for it, like I'm an accountant, and they're not that into it, that is going to end that conversation immediately.
And then you're looking for the bar.
You're like, it's really hot in here, you know. But the other seed that I like to plant around questioning and being curious is, if you can find an on-ramp to ask a why question pretty early on, you're going to get into a really good conversation. And here's why. When someone answers a why question, they reveal some things that are important to them, their values and beliefs. Like, so it's going a little bit
So
deeper.
what question would you ask?
Like, so if you said, I like the easy question, why did you come tonight? You know, what made you want to come to this event? You know, what's on your mind? Why is that important to you?
There you go.
It's
why?
just like,
I like that.
sometimes you can't ask a why question right away. It might be a little weird and awkward, but you can get a ramp going that, okay, what is
lead
this?
To that.
Why is it important to you? And then there's some deep sharing that's going to happen.
I love that. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I love why questions. Big advocate of why questions. So yeah, well, let's do a why question
Oh,
right now.
yeah.
So, well, first of all, tell me more about your show here
Sure.
and why you started it.
Absolutely. So thank you for that. So to Stephanie's point, and we touched on this at the beginning of your show, we're both in our 40s. And when I was moving to Los Angeles, I wanted to, this is really the media hub of all global media entertainment. So it was time to kind of, okay, I've done the travel around the world thing, but let's pick this up a notch, come to Los Angeles. And the advice I was given by everyone was, well, just make sure you don't tell anyone how old you are.
Yeah.
Don't tell your agent.
Yeah.
Don't tell if anyone asks, like politely, change the conversation. So at first I'm going, okay, and like all of us, right? I think especially times have changed. So 40's not the way 40 used to be. 50's not the way 50 used to be. 60's not the way 60 used to be. Like there's a youthfulness in society right now. So, if I put a baseball hat on and some jogging pants, I could pass for 28. And so I was playing that card for a little bit until I started getting into conversations, and I would just organically reveal things about my life that would make the other person scratch their head and go, well, how in the heck did you have time to do all that? And I'm thinking, and then I just started
I have
getting,
a time machine.
yeah, right. And then I just started, kind of feeling this societal pressure. And then I started getting a little angry about it. And I thought, there are so many fabulous people, and women especially, in their 40s and 50s that have led amazing lives, that really have finally taken the 40 years of life experience and are now in a position with the self-confidence that they've gained to harness it with the person that they really are. Now it's their time to really take off and contribute something of value to society.
Absolutely.
And instead of celebrating that stage, we are giving out a message that if you're not 25 and a millennial, well, then you just don't matter. And I thought, well, that's dumb. I'm going to rip the Band-Aid off of that BS. And so I started my radio show, which is LA 40, exploring all things life after 40. Yeah, and celebrating life after 40, because shit, now I am.
What I love so much about it, too, is you started it before you turned 40.
I did.
I'm like,
I wasn't even 40 yet.
Yes, she's right about saying,
That's
it's
right.
not a cool thing to admit your age in LA, but who cares?
Right.
I'm like, it's just something, at this point. I mean, and to your point, like, how do I not admit my age and know everything that I know? It's like discounting myself.
Right,
It's like
it's just-
playing it
right,
small. If I
right.
don't go, yes, I am this, and and here's all the stuff you get because
Own
of
your
that.
mistakes and own
Yeah.
your divorces and own your celebrations and
Yeah.
own the fact that you were a CEO twice. Own that
Yeah,
stuff.
absolutely.
I started this show when I was 39 because of exactly that. I wanted to know, what does life after 40 mean? Does it mean that I'm going to drop off a cliff? Can I still be fabulous? What does it mean? And so I started exploring a lot of different avenues.
Yeah.
And on the show, it's a lot of fun because we bring in a lot of topics that I hope are relatable to some of our viewers. We tackled a topic a few weeks ago called realities in real estate. Is it too late to invest? What if you've never bought a house and you're 52? Did you miss the boat? So I had some experts on talking about that. We had an episode called Cancer at 40, because in the space of 2 years, I had 5 friends between the ages of 38 and 44 diagnosed with cancer.
Wow.
Just some of these things. And of course, some lighter fun ones. Actually, this Thursday, for anyone that's listening, on Thursday at 11, I'm going to plug the show a little bit.
Yeah, do it.
Dating after 40. We're going to get into,
Ooh.
woo, what does that mean? So,
Ooh.
we've got some fun episodes too.
Being in your 40s, it's well-rounded. You're
Right,
still learning,
yeah.
you're accepting things, but we're having fun.
And we're
for
still
God's
looking good,
sakes.
right? Come on. We still want to date.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we want to date, but we want to date well. We want to date with quality. We want quality.
We need more than a swipe left. Come on now.
Yeah, we do. So you didn't die after you turned 40, right?
Right.
How did you celebrate?
Oh my goodness. So I had the most amazing celebration. I am so blessed to have a really core group of girlfriends. So one of them is my sister, my absolute best friend in the world.
She here?
No, she lives in Switzerland.
Oh, wow.
And our 2 best friends live up in Canada. So the 4 of us are sort of spread around. The 2 friends up in Canada are actually sisters as well. So it was
Wow.
2 sisters and 2 sisters, and we just gelled, and we've been best friends for almost 20 years. Now, nobody was able to come to the birthday, and I thought, well, I'm just in transition, and I'm busy, and they're busy, and so I'm just not even going to worry about it. They all literally surprised me. The weekend of my birthday showed up on my doorstep, including my sister, who flew all the way from Switzerland for 5 days.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
And so we just had a great time. And we actually, they booked a hotel room at the SLS Hotel on La Cienega. And we just did a staycation with champagne and room service and, you know, robes and watching movies and going out.
How many days?
5 days.
Yes.
Like, it was a real amazing disconnect.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Lots of fun.
I had to, for my 40th, so my birthday's 2 days before Christmas. Which is,
wow. Goodness.
It's the worst birthday. I mean, as you get older and you don't want people to really know, maybe.
That
like,
doesn't
it's
matter,
okay.
but yeah.
But, you know, it's a challenging day to get people together. They're shopping. They're, you know, they're concerned
They're out of
about
town.
holidays.
Yeah, right.
So I had to, like, build in some planning that everybody could participate in. So for 10 days, I thought, this is funny, I'm thinking about it. For 10 days, we celebrated Stuffpalooza.
Okay.
And there were
Stuffpalooza.
there were different events that people could participate in. So there was, you know, the happy hours and the dinners, but then there was, we did some nonprofit things. We rode the good bus and did like some fun stuff. So no matter what you were doing, or you know,
had a chance to
you
plug
had no
into one of
excuse.
those events.
You had no excuse. And I had some remote things too, because I have family in different states and I wanted them to participate.
Oh, I love that.
But yeah, you like 40, you got to own it. You got to like plan
It's a big
it.
one.
Yeah, you got to do something really special. I don't know if this is contacts or I'm just getting teared up about 40s. It's probably a little
Getting
bit
very
both.
sentimental here.
I'm getting very sentimental. It happens.
But I love that. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a milestone. It really is. You know, like 21. I'm going to tune into your show next Tuesday for your
I know.
21st birthday.
It's going to have its 21st birthday. We should put tequila in those cups. I might. I might. We're talking.
I was going to say, lucky guest next week.
Yeah, no. When you hear the topic, it might be appropriate. All right. Well, so who would you're covering learning topics, fun topics on the show. Who would be some of your dream guests to have on the show?
You know, one of the things I'm exploring a lot lately, personally, for self, is this whole notion of digging deeper. Is there more to our meaning than just coming on this earth and leaving? And I'm really becoming a believer in, you know, we are spiritual beings having a human experience. So I would love to sit down with somebody like a Deepak Chopra and just delve into his level of awareness.
Yeah.
That would be ideal. You know, I'm also following a little bit lately people like Gabby Bernstein and Danielle Laporte. So I'm sort of falling in that line of thinking lately, and I'm really absorbing the message.
Yeah, and I like the idea of exploring spirituality with different types of people that have different experiences and values around their spirituality, because the way that we've grown up with it is not working anymore.
Right.
For many people, I think that, you know, especially now with our news and things that are going on, it seems like religion is dividing us more than bringing us together. And I'm a little bitter about this, because for someone that cares so much about community and knowing how much we need it, the church was that thing, you know, for many centuries of time, where people would go and have community outside of their family and like stay connected. And there's something that needs to shift if they're going to keep that, you know, keep a place for that in society right now, because it's just not happening. But yet everybody
is looking for this, right?
There's
a need, there's a calling, and I'm feeling that really deeply from a lot of people.
Yeah.
Right? There's this, back to your point, right? This need to connect on a deeper level than just shoot me a text. And it's funny because I have 2 girlfriends, both of whom are really great about calling. And so they'll actually phone me, you know, once every 3 weeks. But people just don't phone anymore, you know. And they don't. If they phone, they need something, and it's a business meeting. But you know, when's the last time you had a conversation with someone? People just don't, and it's too bad.
Yeah, I think there's an easy reason why we don't do it, because we assume that everybody's so busy. Because you're seeing, remember that edited reality reel of your fabulous life on Facebook and Instagram. So other people are seeing that too and go, oh, look at her, she's too busy. And one of the ways to fix that is, like, don't assume that the means of communication that you have between somebody is actually what they want. Like asking or rechecking, like calling some friends and go, hey, like, would it be okay to have a phone call every once in a while? Right. You know, do you want to write a letter? Like, you know, what is it? Like, but checking, I do it in business. You know, when I take on a new client, we talk about, like, you know, how do you prefer to communicate? I personally don't do business via text, so I don't have any clients texting me. I don't do that.
Well, which is actually smart from a business perspective as well, because you don't really retain a written history on text message either. And I've run into a couple of snags where you need to go back into that history at least on email, and I agree with you, one-on-one conversation is great, but always document whatever you need to document on email that you can always go back and search. Because I've made the mistake a couple of times on text, and it's just, you can't, it's gone.
At least on email, you've got subject lines that help you keep
can help
organized.
find,
Yeah,
right.
so you can go back and go, oh, we were talking about, the Yellow Project. And so I can go back and look up,
Google
that subject line and find things. But I agree. It's not just for keeping up with things, but it's also interruptive. And again, like in anything that I'm dealing with, clients or relationships, like I want to be fully present and available to do my best work. So if you are interrupting me doing that for somebody else or whatever, it's not going to create the best situation.
And I've also recently, it's been about a couple of months now, where I've turned off all of my notifications on my phone because I couldn't handle the ding and the bling and the bling and the ding, and I'm trying to focus, or I'm in a conversation. I'll check it when I check it, and whatever's sitting in that inbox, because it's out of control now. I mean, you've got WhatsApp and text and Messenger and email and phone calls and Instagram, and I mean, it's coming at you from 7 different mediums.
Outcome addiction device.
Gosh. Outcome addiction device, my OAD in my pocket. Put it in the other room.
Yeah, I agree. I especially when you're with somebody else, I turn it off. I'm like, you are my focus.
Yeah, or you go for dinner and you put it on the dinner table, like you're out for dinner with someone else.
Yeah. It's not cool, people. It's not cool. All right, so we learned about your show. Do you want to talk about being 40? You have
sure,
what
yeah.
are you working on right now, girl?
What am I all about now, right?
Yeah.
So, I have never been married.
Me neither.
Interesting.
Do you have any children?
No children.
No, I have 14 nieces and nephews.
14. Oh my gosh.
15.
I only have
15
2.
coming on the way. Yeah.
How many brothers and sisters do you have?
Well, I have a real sister and a real brother, and that sounds so weird to say that, but and then I have
you have your imaginary one.
Yeah. Then I have 2 stepsisters and 3 stepbrothers.
Wow. So you've got a big family that has had kids.
Yeah. They're all they're from different
Sure.
relationships and stuff, but they all have children, and what's even more pressuring. If this is the thing, I'm second to the oldest, and everybody has children, including my oldest niece.
Right.
So I'm a great aunt at this point.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
So that's fun.
Yeah. No, what I've come to recognize, having hit 40, is I went through a period in my mid-30s, sort of 33, 34, 35, and ladies especially, if you're listening and you're in that age group, you're probably feeling a little bit of that societal pressure. The biological clock kind of starts ticking, and I always thought that was nonsense until I was 33, 34, 35, where really there's a physicality that comes over you that you can feel your body is telling you it's time, coupled with society's messaging of, hey, why don't you have kids yet? And I had friends at that point, they got engaged, they got married, they had baby number 1, they had baby number 2. Some of them were getting divorced. So I was hitting this panic of like, oh my God, I'm 5 steps behind. I'm doing something wrong. Even though I had this fabulous life where I was traveling the world and I was, engaged in all these amazing things, but I was just stuck in my own head.
Yeah.
And I've gotten out of that now, and I've come to recognize that we all have our own path, and that it really, I think, at the end of the day, if I had really, really wanted a baby, then I would have had one.
Yeah.
Like, I think the easiest thing to do as a woman is get pregnant.
Yeah.
And that's not to say that I don't want to have kids, but I must not have wanted to have them bad enough up till now.
And even the want is
that makes any sense.
Yeah, it totally makes sense. I'll share kind of how I relate to that. I think even the want is not enough, because I know some fabulous women that wanted, not, I wouldn't say desperately, but, really desired to have children, and they can't, so the want is not enough. For me, it was more, as a product of divorce, like I really took I take relationship very serious. I don't want to do it too many times, and I don't want the destruction of it not working out. I want to go in with some intention. And
now, do you think that limited you?
Yeah, of course. I mean, not everybody
in terms of the fear, right? Going back to that fear element.
Well, but not, and I'm intense for other people too. Having okay, this is what we need to work out if we're gonna go
make
this direction.
This happen, yeah.
And I realized that. But so for me, the child was always the reflection of that love. So if the relationship wasn't there, then I wouldn't even be thinking about a child. I've never had the clock tick. For me, the clock
right.
ticked more of like, oh, there's more physical desire going on. So it's like your body going, you're supposed to procreate. But it wasn't me going, okay, I need to do this because I as a woman, I'm supposed to do this. Like I never had that.
Right.
Would I, do I desire to have children? Absolutely. But it's a sequence thing for me. Like the sequence of how I'm going to bring this person into the world, which is like, wow, like that responsibility,
Well, and I don't know if you saw this, but Hoda on the Today Show, she adopted just, I think, a couple of weeks ago, last week. She's 52 years old.
Yeah.
But I think she's at a point where she is going to be so ready for this chapter that it's going to be the most loving experience for that child and for her. And especially the way society is moving right now, like we're probably easily and comfortably going to live into our 90s, maybe longer. So that's a lot of time. We have to give up this notion that somehow it's too late.
The notion that it's too late, and to your point too, like everybody's on their own path. I wouldn't take back anything that I've learned or my career or my experiences, lessons learned, even the mistakes, because they're definitely putting me in a direction that only I can complete that journey. Like it's not anybody else's journey to complete. So, regrets, I can't say that I have regrets, but there's always, I'm always amazed by like what's happening next, where things can go.
And things can go so many wonderful ways. And I think if we can, recognize that life is supposed to be fun, it's supposed to be exciting, it's supposed to be a little uncertain, but embrace that rather than take the fearful element. Like it's all a spectrum, right? And it's what side of the spectrum do you want to play on? And I also think it's all a choice, right?
Absolutely.
You choose to allow yourself to be stressed, or you choose to allow yourself to be excited.
Yeah.
Right? The uncertainty can get you
Or
going
operating
either one
in
of those
drama
ways.
or like all the things. There's so many choices that we make every day that we wake up, how we see things, what we're leaning in towards, are we grateful,
All of that. So important.
It totally affects like what the journey is going to be like. So yeah, there's that. All right. Well, so there's two more things that we do on the show that we're going to get to do because we're good on time.
Perfect.
So one of the things that I like to talk about in terms of relating, that at any given time, the circumstances of how we're relating can change. So you're out on a date, you get a phone call. Now you're not totally available for connection anymore. That kind of thing.
Okay.
And then this other notion of there's always more of information available.
Okay.
So we're learning a little bit about you, you're learning a little bit about me, but we don't know. Like, we don't know what else is going on. So the way that I illustrate this is I have this table topic box that has some crazy little questions in here, and we are just going to randomly pull something.
Awesome. That looks like fun.
And we might
it's like
learn
the fortune of the day, but it's the question.
Yes.
Okay, cool. Let's see.
So I'll do one, you'll do one to me, I'll do one to you.
Okay.
All right. So you ready?
Yes.
What's your worst driving habit?
Oh my gosh. Oh no. Gosh, I don't even know if I should admit this one. But I am terrible at this. I'm going to preface this by saying I'm making a genuine attempt to stop. But I'm terrible with texting and driving.
Oh no!
I know. Don't tell my insurance agent. I really try to do it only when I'm at a red light. But then you're right in the middle.
Voice to text? At least start voice to text.
I know. I should. So I really need to work on that. Terrible driving habit. Don't do this, kids.
To you. Start voice texting. So at least you're like talking to it and not typing. Because I want you around. We care about you.
And I don't want to.
I want other drivers around.
That's right. So yes.
It can wait.
But that was a very honest answer.
It was honest. See, this is what 40 looks like. Because it is honest. You own it. And I know now that you just said that.
I could have given you, the photoshopped answer. But no, that's honesty.
I know now that you just admitted that in public on live radio that broadcasts all around the world that you're going to change that habit.
I'm an honest person, and I will. Yes, absolutely.
That's cool. I love it. All right,
my turn. All right, let's see what truth we're going to get out of Stephanie today. Let's see. All right. All right, here we go. What secret will you keep from your children?
Oh.
Which is really interesting because we're on that topic, which means you're going to have some at one point.
Oh, my gosh. Well, yeah, this is, I have to be
secret would you
hypothetical.
keep? Yes.
What secret? I would only keep a secret. I'm very leaned into being transparent. Yeah, to being transparent. So I would only keep something that would hurt them. Like, keep a secret that might hurt them. Maybe So maybe a closer situation that could be a reality is maybe I do adopt, and there's a situation about the birth parents that it's a really sad story, or something that could really affect them in a negative way. Like, I would keep that.
Right.
Maybe at some point, as an adult, I would maybe share that, but something that would be harmful for them to know at the time would be the secret that I would keep.
Yeah, and I think that's just being a responsible parent,
I would
right?
think so.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of parents that keep a lot of things for that same reason.
Yeah, just waiting.
Yeah. Okay,
All right,
cool.
we could do one more of these. So
All right.
let's do one more round.
All right, cool.
See
I
what
like
we got.
this.
You like it?
Yeah.
All right. Oh, it was upside down. Who knows? Okay. Are we more likely to receive proof of alien life or of God? That's a fun topic,
I love
actually.
that one. That one's interesting. You know what? It's funny because I always question what is an alien, right? We go to Mars and we go to some of these other planets and we're looking for signs of life.
Mm-hmm.
Signs of life, the way we humans have identified it is, it's got to have a certain, content of oxygen and CO2 and whatever the elements are. That's our version of life.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean that there's not life on another planet and they're running on some different elements. So I've always had that disconnect of what really is an alien. I wouldn't call myself super religious, but I did grow up, in a church environment. We did have, an element of God is, God is God. But I'm coming to really sort of see God as more of just a larger extended version of all of eternity, all of the universe, all of source.
Yeah.
So I think it's more likely that we're going to see God because we can tap into God. Aliens, yeah, not so much.
I would tend to agree with that. I'd rather see the presence of God than some weird alien. Just so I'm going to lean towards God than alien.
And we're going to do
All
one more
right,
on you,
more.
and then
Yep.
and then we're going to. All right, so let's see. All right, what's an experience you've had that not many people know about?
Wow.
I get deep with Stephanie here in the last minute.
Wow. Like, this is going to take. Well, this is not. I mean, I've been on tour buses with rock stars.
Ooh,
I'm
that's
not
good fun.
Yeah. Those are the fun ones. I mean, there was a moment, and I'm not going to say who it is, but there was a moment that I'm like sitting next to my boyfriend at the time, and this guy, this musician that I've like had the major crush on, and they're like, we're in a car. We're in a car together, like running an errand after being on the bus, and they're like side by side. I'm like, this is awesome. Like, this is like this. Life is not going to get better than this, right? Like, I can smell them, I can touch them.
When you're having a bad day, people channel those moments in your life, right?
Yeah, I like these moments. I call these the circle of excellent moments, like where you just need to like feel a little extra something. Like, remember that time?
Right. So
Speaking
fun.
in Vegas to 5,000 people, first public relations kind of experience.
Yeah.
And like,
right, you can tap into those because we've all had them. I don't care
Yeah.
how depressed or upset you are, what you're going through. You have had a good moment in your life, so tap into that, channel
Absolutely.
that. Because it's
Absolutely.
a choice, people.
It is a
Choose
choice.
happy.
All right. On that note, we have one more thing that we do on the show that I'm so excited to share with you.
Alright.
So we end the show with what I call a heart swell moment.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my goodness.
Mm.
All right. It sounds good, right? Heart swell.
Does.
Yeah, it's a good thing. So, and what it is I just ask the guest to think about somebody that's really meaningful in their life, or a topic, a desire, and then like connect it to who comes to mind when you think about this. And look at the camera and share a dedication, a commitment, or just a shout out to this person
Sure.
to say, like, you mean something to me. And the reason why I do this is like, I don't want it to look scary to share deep feelings. And I think the more we do this, we together raise the level of empathy in the world. And I want that. That's a
love
goal of
that.
mine. So
Perfect.
are you willing to do that?
I am.
All right, awesome.
There's so many people that flashed through my mind when you said that, because I really am so grateful to so many people. But my biggest, real, heartfelt thank you for all of your continuous support, even in times where I'm not supporting myself. It is invaluable to me. It's a shout out to my sister, Katerina. Which may sound cliche, but absolutely the most important person in my life. She is my rock, and it's so hard to sometimes be so physically far away from each other.
Yeah.
She has 2 little boys, and she's has her family in Switzerland. We don't see each other that often, but we are just so tightly bound that I know that if there's anything I need in my life, she's there for me. So I thank you so much for that, Karina, and I really hope that we're here for each other for a long time.
That's awesome. That's our first sister heart swell.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we've had parents to children and friends and teachers, a lot of teachers and people that have passed, and I love that. Like never, believe that you were not making an impact even long after you're gone, because we've heard a lot of those on the show. So thank you for being the first sister one. And that does bring us to the end of the show. It's so fast,
goes
right?
so fast.
It's so fast. It's so fast, but I love it. So I thank you for being here. I'm sure you'll see her again. We're neighbors. We have the same time slots on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So she's Thursday at 11 a.m., of course, Tuesday at 11 a.m. We'll do this again.
It was so great to be here, Stephanie. Thank you so much. I think, being relatable and allowing people a forum to feel related to and relatable is so fabulous. And I had fun. It was great to be here.
So much fun. So much fun. Well, thank you. So if you want to learn more about your work and about the show, you can check out her website, which I checked the link. It's good.
Yeah, we're working now. Thank you for that.
So it is fabafter40.life. So fabafter40.life. Her Instagram and Twitter is on the screen right now, so you can shoot her a note there and connect with her there. And next week, as I said, it might be a good show for tequila. I'm going to have my friend Bree Seeley on, and we are going to cover the topic, why do ladies swear?
Woo!
Maybe we do need tequila in our cups, so it'll be fun. And I have to give a shout out to my mother. Her birthday's tomorrow, so happy birthday, Sheila
Mom.
Gordon. She's partying in Sarasota right now. I know that they had orange bathing suit day yesterday. It's a thing.
Amazing.
Yeah, it's fun. So and my brother's there too. So happy birthday, Mom.
Happy birthday.
And like I said at the top of the show, I need your feedback right now about what do you want from the show? What more can I do on Relatable? Do you want me to keep it real and vulnerable? Do you want me to get more poised and talk like this? Let me know. Talk to me. So
I love the cards though, Steph.
Yeah, you like
I
the
love
cards?
the cards.
So I'm at Twitter at Love More Now and on Instagram at Relate with Steph. And as always, you can find out the backstory about the guest and any resources that we shared on my site, stephaniemichele.com. And we do have a PSE event coming up on Wednesday, May 24th. This is new. We usually do them on Saturdays, and you probably haven't heard me talk about this, but I do public shared experiences event.
Okay.
Which is basically like a relating class, like a yoga class for relating, where people come and like have this like feel good relating experience with a bunch of strangers. Sometimes people come with friends or sisters and things, but it's just this whole like, hey, let's turn back to what that looks like and have conversations that feel really good. So we do that at the Relational Center. This is a new time slot at 7 p.m. on Wednesday, May 24th. You can find out more about it on my site. And still working on a closing tagline for the Relatable show. So as of right now, I just encourage everyone to relate with more curiosity. Go into situations with questions, really be interested, as you said, and not just worry about you being interesting. You will naturally be interesting if you're interested in other people. So
important.
Relate with curiosity. We'll see you next Tuesday.
You're listening to Relatable with Stephanie Michele, only on LA Talk Radio.